We are learning the first Sicha in Parshas Balak on Chelek Yud Beis. This is on the pasuk that we're all familiar with. Matoivo elecha Yaakov mishkanesecha Yisroel. How good are your tents, Yaakov, the Yidden, and mishkanesecha, your dwelling places, again Yisroel, the Yidden. Bilam is recognizing the beauty of the tents and the dwelling places of the Yidden. But Rashi takes this and Rashi explains that what does Matoiva Alecha mean? That because he saw that the Yidden's entrances to their tents were not facing each other, that each tent was directed in a different position, and that was the beauty, the tznius, the privacy that he saw by the Yidden was the beauty that he recognized. What does Mishkanei Secha mean? So here we translate it as Mishkanei Secha as dwelling places, like a Mishkan. However, Rashi says no, that this refers to Chani Yosecha, which means your campings. Kitargumai, like Onkelos says. That's the first interpretation of Rashi. Davar Acher, another explanation. Matoivu Alecha refers to Mishkan Shiloi, the Mishkan that the Yidden had when they came to Eretz Yisrael, as well as the Beis Elamim, as well as the Beis HaMikdash, when they were intact. And what was beautiful about them, that they brought karbanos there, that is an atonement for the Yidden. What does Mishkanei Secha mean? Says Rashi, even when they're destroyed, and they become a mashkin, in other words, the word here for Mishkanei Secha, not as a dwelling, but a drasha, that it's like the word mashkin, which means a collateral, that the Beis HaMikdash in its destruction serves as a collateral for the Yidden, that even in their destruction, there will be a kapara for the nefashos, for the souls of the Yidden. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Kol Hashem es chamasei, that Hashem got rid of his anger. And how did Hashem get rid of his anger? By the Yatzis Eish B'tzion, by destroying the Beis HaMikdash. So we have two interpretations of Rashi. One of them is that the Matoiva Elecha refers to the fact that the tents were not facing each other, and Mishkanei Secha means that he saw the beauty of the way they were camping. And the second interpretation that refers to the Beis HaMikdash, both when it's standing as well as when it was destroyed, that bring a kapara for the Yidden. So the Rebbe asks many questions on this Rashi. I think 9 or 10 questions. So let's go through them. Some of them are very obvious. Number one, Mishkanei Secha, as we translated when we learned the simple pshat, seemingly, was your dwelling places. Why does Rashi use Mishkanei Secha, a translation from Onkelos that means your campings? We don't find anywhere else in Torah that the word for camping should be used as Mishkanei Secha. Second, from the pasuk Matoivu, the word Matoivu is associated also with Mishkanei Secha, as if it says Matoivu Mishkanei Secha, right? Because otherwise, what does Mishkanei Secha Yisrael mean? And yet, Rashi doesn't tell us what that beauty is in the first interpretation. He just tells us that Mishkanei Secha means their campings. But in Oyalecha, Rashi tells us what he saw as beautiful in their tents, that they weren't facing each other. But in their campings, Rashi doesn't tell us what's beautiful. Number 3, we know a rule in Chumash that when Rashi says multiple explanations, it's because each one has a difficulty that the other one doesn't have. So we need to understand what are the difficulties in these Rashis that we need two interpretations. Another question, that when we saw that Rashi quoted the interpretation, the second interpretation, he introduced the words Matoiva Alecha again. That's very uncommon for Rashi. Usually just as Davar Acher, a second interpretation, he goes straight to interpretation. He doesn't quote the pasuk a second time. Fifth question, why does Rashi not mention the Mishkan itself? Why does he jump to speak about the Mishkan Shiloi and the beauty of the Mishkan Shiloi and the Beis HaMikdash in the second interpretation? Why can't he translate Mishkan if it means Mishkan as the Beis HaMikdash? It could have been the very first Mishkan that they have right there during what Bilam actually saw with his eyes. Sixth question, Rashi said that the beauty of the Beis HaMikdash was the fact that there's karbanos that are brought there. Of course, we know that that's a very central part of the Beis HaMikdash. But why didn't Rashi give us the very basic idea that the beauty of the Beis HaMikdash is that's where Hashem dwells, v'shachanti b'seicham? Seventh, why is it relevant to know and the expression that Rashi uses that it's that the oil and the Mishkan are an atonement for the Yidden, an atonement for their nefashos. Why is that important? Why does Rashi not say it earlier when he uses this idea of mashkin in Parshas Pekudei? Why does he use a funny language, nefashos, atonement on the souls? And if that's the case, where do we see that from the pasuk? So to summarize the questions, just to generalize them without going through all the detail of all the questions, we can say the first question is, why does that? What is the beauty of Mishkan Eisecha that Rashi admits, and that it's dafka speaking about camping and not just regular dwelling? And and in regards to the second interpretation, what is the details over here about the Mishkan, the Beis Hamikdash? Rashi gives so many details that seem to be odd. Which Beis Hamikdash we're talking about, and how it's beautiful with the atonement and for the nishvashis. Interesting language. So to explain this, the Rebbe says we have to go back a pasuk in the parsha. In the beginning, before he says Matoivu, the pasuk says Vayisa Bilam es Einav Vayars Yisol Sheichin L'Shvatav. That Bilam looked out over the Yidden, and he saw the Jews camping according to each shevet. So Rashi says, what does that mean? That he saw that each shevet is residing by themselves and not mixed together, meaning that each shevet has their own place, like we've learned at length in Parshas Bamidbar and Nasei, how each camp, each shevet had their own place within each camp, and so on. And second, he saw that their doors are not open to each other, that no one could look inside to each other's tents. How does Rashi understand that that's what it means? The pasuk says that as a result of what Bilam saw, that the spirit of Hashem came over him. The word spirit, ruach, over here could also mean a thought, as we actually learned in the last week's Sicha in Parshas Kairach, that the word ruach could sometimes mean machshava. Machshava of Hashem came upon Bilam. What does that mean? The Rebbe understands this to mean not that he, and as other Mefarshim explain, that Bilam was trying to, that this is not a prophecy, but rather Bilam's mindset became aligned with Hashem, in the sense that he understood the beauty of the Yidden, of why Hashem is not going to curse them. In other words, now he understood the greatness of the Yidden. Why? Because he looked out and he saw the way the Yidden are camping. That brought upon him the Ruach Elikim, the thought that I shouldn't be cursing them. What did he see that caused him to see the beauty of the Yidden, that they don't deserve a curse? The first thing is, he saw Lishvatov, that each one was in their own shevet, which means that each one was camping in their own place, which means that they were very particular about family lifestyle, which indicates that their yuchsin, that their lineage was pure, that they were very careful how they kept to their families, which helped them keep a healthy and a strong lineage of their families, as we have already learned that when Moshe counted them, they each had to bring their lineage. But then the pasuk doesn't say l'shvatim, that they were each in a shevet, but l'shvatav, to their shevet, indicating that each shevet itself had a unique element. What was the unique element of each shevet? The unique element of each shevet was that that within each shevet they had even another level of tznius, which was that they were not within each other. We're not looking in each other's tents. That they were the opening of each tent was facing away from each other. So when he saw these two elements, says Rashi, he looked out at the Yidden and he saw, number one, how the Yidden are camping individually, a strong family value of tznius of each family alone. And then he saw the way that they were being strong privacy within each shevet, lishvat tav, within each shevet. That gave Bilam the thought that, you know what, the Eibushter is right, they don't deserve to be cursed. And then the pasuk says that Bilam expressed this. He wasn't saying a nevuah. He was matoivu. Matoivu is not a nevuah prophecy. Matoivu means he's explaining, why am I not going to curse you? Because matoivu, because I see how wonderful, how beautiful you are. What does he see of wonderful and beautiful? The pasuk says, Oyalecha Mishkanei Sacha. So Oyalecha, Rashi already told us what that means. And he repeats again that Oyalecha means that he saw the way their tents were placed in a way that they were not open to each other. What did Rashi tell us in the previous Rashi? The second thing he saw the way they were camping. That each shevet was camping individually. So therefore, Rashi says that's what Mishkanei Secha means. He doesn't have to translate it because he already told us what we said in the previous Rashi, that he saw each shevet being themselves. What Rashi will tell us is that Mishkanei Secha in this pasuk means to camp, Chaniyei Secha, not a dwelling place as the simple translation, but Chaniyei Secha. How do we know that? That's not the usual translation. Says Rashi Ketargume, like we see Unkelis says. And being that we see that that's how Unkelis translates the word in this pasuk, that will be our proof that in this pasuk Mishkanei Secha can mean camping, and therefore we understand why Bilam said, "My toiva alecha Yaakov Mishkanei Secha Yisroel." He saw the oyalecha, he saw the beauty of the way their tents are independently placed away from the entrance of each other, and he saw Mishkanei Secha, he saw the way they were camping each on their own. However, there's a few questions on this interpretation. There points out 4 questions here. Number 1, as we said before, although Unkelis says that in this pasuk Mishkanei Secha means camping, but that's an unusual translation that we don't find anywhere else. Number 2, the order is odd. In the previous Rashi, when Rashi told us of Bilam saw, he told us that he first saw each shevet independent, and then he saw the fact that the tents were not facing each other. And that's understood. And here, as we'll say in a minute, in here, the pasuk says first Oyalecha, that the tents weren't facing each other, and then Mishkanei Secha, that they were camping independently. Rashi changed the order. The pasuk is changing the order. And the reason for this is that it's actually understood that that's the way he saw it. In other words, when he looked at the Yidden, the first thing he saw was independent Shvatim. Then he saw the detail of how their tents were facing each other. Moreover, says the Rebbe, it's a greater principle of showing the yuchsin, the family value, the clarity of whose family is who, and the tznius of keeping each family to each other, than just peering into each other's tent. So the greater idea is Mishkanei Secha. That should have been first of the reason why he's not going to curse them. And fourth is that Matoy V'Olecha comes in the pasuk after he says Ne'um Ha'Shemeya Imnefi, which is the expression of Nevuah that he's prophesizing, which indicates that although the words Matoy, like we said before, seems to imply that he's explaining what's beautiful about what he's seeing, but the pasuk seems to connect it with a Nevuah, with a prophecy as well. So in short, the 3 big questions that we have on this interpretation is, number 1, as we originally asked, the word Mishkanei Secha to mean your campings, not your dwelling places, is not found anywhere else. Number 2, the order of the pasuk, which is the primary question, as we'll see later, that the order of the pasuk Mishkanei Secha should come before Oyalecha, because that's what Bilam saw first, and that's also the greater reason not to curse the Yidden, because of the way they were dwelling with a strong family value. And number 3, that seemingly this is supposed to be a nevuah, prophecy, and here he's just saying what he saw beautiful. So therefore Rashi says another interpretation, an interpretation that actually explains that we're talking about a prophecy, and that this prophecy is about what he saw in the future, and that's why he doesn't mention this Mishkan. He's talking about what he sees in the future. He sees the Mishkan Shiloi, but it says Mishkanei Secha, the Mishkan Shiloi, but it says Mishkanei Secha Lashon Rabin plural. So therefore Rashi said it also includes, Oyhalecha and Mishkanei Secha, that they're both plural, and so it's referring to Mishkan Shiloi, but because it says it plural, so therefore Rashi understands that it also refers to the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore that's what Oyhalecha, the tent, the Beis HaMikdash, to be a tent is a little odd of an expression because it was a building. But because it's plural, so therefore Rashi says it has to mean the Beis HaMikdash as well. And that this becomes the prophecy that he saw of why he shouldn't be able to curse the Yidden, because of what's going to be the Oyalecha, the Mishkanei Secha, the Beis HaMikdash, and the Mishkan Shiloi that is going to be a atonement for the Yidden. But then he thought and he said, but what about when they're destroyed? What about when they're destroyed? How are they going to be an atonement for the Yidden? So therefore, that's why Rashi says that he didn't just look at the Beis Hamikdash in general. Didn't just look at at Mishkan Shili in a general concept, but rather he was looking for a particular idea. The reason why Bilam thought that he can curse the Yidden, like Rashi told us earlier, was because he said, you know what, the Yidden can't be cursed, but they do Avedas. And because of the Avedas, they can be cursed because the Avedas will be the keli, will be the vessel for which the curses could be chal, where the curses could take hold. So he looked at their Avedas. But then he saw Matoiv Lechi Yaakov. He saw that the Yidden have a Mishkan that is going to be an atonement for them. An atonement for their Avedas. The Karbonis that we bring in the Beis Hamikdash are kapara for the Yidden. And he started thinking, but you know what? Eventually they're not going to have a Beis Hamikdash. So therefore he said, Mishkanei Secha. But even when the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed, it's still going to be a mashkin. It's still going to be a collateral as an atonement, as a kapara for the Yidden. And so therefore, and for what? Not just for minor Avedas, but the Beis Hamikdash and the Karbonis are a kapara for every type of Aveda that the Yid does, from the smallest of Avedas to the greatest of Avedas, Chas v'Shalom. Which is why Rashi says that it's a kapara ala nefashos. What does nefashos mean? So two interpretations that Rebbe says. Rashi told us again in last week's parsha that the word nefashos chatoim al nafshoisa means that they went against the Eivishter. That even in Aveda that's directly against Hashem, like Aveda Zarah or something like that, or that you're doing it deliberately against the Eivishter, even on such Aveda the Karbanis could be mechaper and the Churban Beis Hamikdash could be mechaper. Or the Rebbe says another interpretation. We see the word nefesh used by a shaygig, by the lowest category of Aveda, and the word nefesh used by the worst category of Aveda, b'nefesh hashetasa b'yad rama. So therefore, the word nefesh Rashi is using as a way to tell us that the Eibishter is going to have a kapara on all types of Avedas. And therefore Rashi brings the pasuk that Kil Hashem es Chamasei, that the Eibishter completely gets rid of his anger on the Yidden by destroying the Beis Hamikdash. And so therefore we understand why Rashi interprets again the words Ma Toiva Lecha Yaakov, in order to tell us that what was it that Bilam saw that it's not worthwhile to destroy to curse the Yidden, because Ma Toiva Lecha, because he saw what is going to be in the future, that this is going to be a kapara for the Yidden, that the Beis Hamikdash is going to be a kapara for the Yidden, both when it's standing as well as when it will be destroyed. So to summarize, we have two interpretations why Bilam, Yaakov is telling us why Bilam is not going to curse the Yidden. One of them is for what he sees right there in front of him. Not a nevuah, what he sees right there in front of him, which is the way the Yidden are camping and the way the Yidden are not facing each other, or in the order that the pasuk says it, that he saw that they're not facing each other, and he saw that they're dwelling with each shevet a strong family value. Second interpretation, which is a nevuah, which is what the pasuk seems to be, that this is a nevuah, this is a prophecy, that he was seeing that even if now the Yidden don't have an aveda for the curse to be chalan, maybe in the future they're going to have avedas. And for this, he saw the future, that there's going to be a Beis Hamikdash, and a Mishkan Shiloi, and a Beis Hamikdash. And even when they're destroyed, they're going to be a mashkin, they're going to be a collateral as a kapara, as an atonement for the Yidden. So therefore, no matter what, the Yidden have no avedas for the kapara, and the Eibishter and the Churban is going to be kila chamas. Hashem is going to destroy, get rid of the avedas of his anger on the Yidden by the Churban Beis Hamikdash, in order that the Yidden should be able to have no way for the curse to be to come upon. But the question with the last interpretation is that we said, as we mentioned briefly before, that the word oil doesn't fit for the Beis Hamikdash. And second of all, Mishkan Shiloi was not a mashkin. Mishkan Shiloi was destroyed and never given back. The Beis Hamikdash was a mashkin because Eivishter took it away, gave it back to us, took it away, and Mirza Hashem will give it back to us soon again. So the word mashkin as a collateral for the Yidden fits only on the Beis Hamikdash, doesn't fit for Shiloi. So both the word oyalecha is not appropriate for the Beis Hamikdash, and the word mishkanei secha as a mashkin is not appropriate for Mishkan Shiloi. So therefore, Rashi says that this interpretation is also not good. But this is the second interpretation. Why? The first interpretation, the primary question, was the order of the pasuk. Both it should have first said Mishkan Secha, then Ayalecha, as well as the placing of the pasuk Matei Ayalecha seemed to come after the pasuk that indicates in Umagever that Bilam is saying a prophecy. Where this, the taich of the words Ayalecha and Mishkan Secha to be referring both to the Beis Hamikdash and Shiloi doesn't fit properly. We have a rule that when Rashi has a question in the pasuk itself, the taich of the pasuk or the order of the pasuk, the taich of the pasuk is a more difficult question. So therefore, Rashi accepts the first interpretation, which is primarily a question in the order of the pasuk, as the primary interpretation. The Hayrah from this Rashi. From this Rashi, we obviously see the importance of tznius. That the ultimate point of tznius is that a person could say that no, a big concept of tznius, like making sure we have strong family vows, that our families don't mix inappropriately, that we can do. But a minor thing of tznius, not looking into each other's tent, no, that's not such a big deal. Says Rashi, Mateva Lecha Yaakov. This is what led Bilam not to be able to curse the Yidden, even something that seems more minor of an idea of tznius, just not looking at someone else. Says the Yetzirah, but maybe that's only if it's a permanent lifestyle. What if I just do it? I'm not so sanua, I'm not so careful in tznius as a temporary thing. Says the pasuk Oyalecha, that even your tent, even when you're doing something temporarily, even that. And then one has to be careful with their tznius. And on the other hand, says the Rebbe, when someone is careful with the tznius, even in the most minor areas of tznius, and even when it's just a temporary concept or time and situation, they're extremely careful in the tznius. Says the pasuk that becomes the Sichos for the Yidden, that the Eibishter should completely transform Bilam's intentions of cursing the Yidden, that they should become brachas. And that they become the brachas in a way to the point that they could bring the greatest brachas of the Yidden to the bracha of the Gula Amitis Vashlema. And the base and Bini Beis Hamikdash Ta'alecha Mishkan Secha Kupshutei for us. I do want to point out that in this Sicha there's something very unique. You could look in Likkutei Sichos Chelek Yud Gimel, volume 13, page 84, and in the footnote number 34, there's a very large font and bold font, very unusual in Likkutei Sichos. If it's not the only place, it's certainly one of the only places. And I've heard from Rabbi Shapiro, who helped prepare, Rabbi Leibel Shapiro from Miami, who helped prepare the Sicha for publication, that this was by the directive of the Rebbe, that before the summer, the Rebbe wanted this should be in a place that it sticks out in an unusual way, that everyone should take notice. And that the Rebbe here in the footnote writes that this is the appropriate time. In the beginning of the summer, that during the summer sometimes people feel that there's a reason to be more lenient in the laws of tznius, and especially like that when they're in a temporary dwelling, when they're out of the city and away from their usual home. And some people say, Echtav Ashuv, I'll sin and then I'll return. And on a play of the words, the Rebbe says, I'll sin, and when I return, I'll do teshuvah. No, it's when I come back to the city. And so therefore the Rebbe is pointing out that this Hayrah is appropriate in the time that we're now, in the summer, when in general the laws of tznius are more difficult to come by, as well as when we're not always in our permanent situations and dwelling places. That the Rebbe is reminding us here about the tremendous brachas that we see from this pasuk, Matei Lecha Yaakov, that come as a result of keeping tznius even in the most temporary of situations. And the Rebbe concludes that this is both relevant both for men as well as for women, or particularly for women, as they are the Akeres Habayis. And the Rebbe concludes, Yesh Laharich, we can speak much more at length at this, but for Ein Kamakoimai, this is not the place. So in any case, we should certainly see the Matei Lecha Yaakov Mishkan Secha Yisroel, the tremendous brachas that we'll have as a result of our anhaga, of our behavior in the laws of tznius, that we should see the Mishkan Secha Kupshutei, the Bina Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi.